Hello, good morning everyone. This is my T6 2017 4motion, and the problem we have with this is the drive shaft. The centre bearing has perished, so we need to have a look at changing that centre bearing. So with that in mind, we'll have a look and see what's going on. Okay, so like I've said before, make sure that you've got axle stands under the van. Put these underneath the subframe like that. Two there, holding there. So on the 4motion, what you've got is a transfer case here, and you've got a prop shaft that runs from the front of the engine to the back. And in the middle, what you have is this bearing carrier here. So this holds the middle of the prop shaft, because the prop shaft goes all the way to the back like that. This is a long wheelbase version. So what we have is this bearing here in the middle, and as you can see, the rubber inside has perished, so that is free to wobble around when you're driving, which isn't good at all for the joints. So what we need to do is remove the front half of the prop shaft. So to do that, we need to take off the bolts at the front, which you see there, and we need to remove the bolts from the rear, which you see here. Now before doing that, what we need to do is what's called match marking, where it's actually come from. So what I'll do is I'll get my centre punch and I'll put a little pin punch there and a pin punch here, just so I know that it goes back to the same place. And I'll also do it for the front drive shaft there as well. And the reason why we do that is because usually these prop shafts are balanced. You can see the balance weight there, you see? So we need to make sure that we put it back the way it came off, just to make sure it's all balanced as it should be. So let's carry on. So after match marking it, starting to take the bolts out of here, what I've noticed is that this is completely perished, that we're able to move this away or pull it down like that, turn it around, just to gain access to these, to put a socket onto here, get them onto there. Now the socket you need to take them off is this one here. So on the top I use one of these ratchet spanners just to put it in. So it's a spline, and it's an M12 spline. That's what you need for that there, for these. So on this one here, what we've got is, you've got this guard there. It doesn't actually support anything, but it's just like a guard. So I'm letting this rest on that guard there, because I've unbolted this centerpiece here. So I'm going to leave one bolt in here, or two bolts in here loose, and then we're going to start taking off the other end of the prop then. Okay, so it's a bit stubborn to get this prop shaft out. What you find is that the prop shaft sits right up to this lip here, so it sits in about 3mm in there. It's the same on the other end. So what I found was, you hit it around here, don't hit the lip here, and don't hit the lip of the prop shaft here. You need like a bar in here, and tap this round till it goes loose, spray it with some oil, and it should come out. And it's the same from this end here as well. It just sits in that little, see the lip at the end there. So what you want to do is tap around here, and you will find it will come away from there. It's only rust holding it in place there. So with the prop shaft removed now, the next step is to get this knuckle off here. So we'll carry on with that on the bench. Okay, so with the prop shaft back on the bench, you've got your spot mark here. So what I've done is matched it to here, mark on there. So we know when we slide this back now, like that, we know that's going to go back the same place. We need to slide this back all the way, so we can get to the circlip that's around about here somewhere. So let's do that now. Okay, so what we've had to do is take the bearings out one by one from here, but I've marked this here, and it's in line with that spot mark here. That's in line with that. So be careful with that. And then that there is also going to be in line with the mark I've put on here as well, so it all goes back in line. So our circlip is just on the face here. So what we need to do now is get a circlip remover, sorry about the light, get the circlip remover and take it off there. Okay, so once the circlip's off, this one here, this here will slide off the end of the shaft, and this cage will come off as well. So careful of the gasket there, you should get another one with the kit that you get. Your next job is to get this ring off here and remove the rubber with this complete. This should come off in one go as well. Keep everything in line, remember your marks, keep everything in line as they came off. Okay, so with the rubber now removed, this bearing needs to come off here. So what we'll do is give that a good clean around there and oil that, plenty of oil around there, releasing fluid. And then what I'll probably do is use a bearing puller on here, just to pull that off. If you haven't got a bearing puller, then you can use a grinder, slot grinder, slots it through there. Don't grind all the way through so you're cutting the shaft. Stop before you cut the shaft, then put a screwdriver in and snap the ring like that. Okay, so that's the next move now. Hello everyone, this is the shaft all cleaned up. Bearing's going to sit on here. For reference, this is the old one. This is the replacement one, which is a Febby Bilston. This one here, part number. That one there. So what we need to do is make sure the holes match up perfectly, and also need to make sure that the bearing inside diameter is the same as this one here. Okay, so measure the inside here, and it's the right size for the shaft. Oiled the shaft, and I've made this piece of pipe which goes over the shaft, and I can use that to tap it down onto the bearing. Okay, there we go. That was quite easy. Pushed it on there. It sits right at the very back there, won't go back any further. And once that's on there, find a match mark on the top. Then we can start to assemble the universal joint again. Next piece to go on before the universal shaft is this one here. That goes on that way. So we'll use the pipe, we'll just tap it on. That's like a dust guard for the bearing on there. Okay, with the dust guard on, we can start to build this back together again now. So in reverse order, we're going to put the clip in that holds the rubber boot on this cover here. We're going to slide this on. We're going to put the drive on here, making sure that the stepped piece goes on the inside and the flush is on the outside. We're then going to use a circlip. We're going to put the cage over this. Then we're going to put the bearings in on this to finish off. Okay, with the boot on, like that. What you've got then is got this gasket that fits inside there, and then we can go ahead and fit this then. As it's quite awkward to fit, what we're going to do is put this inside this cage and then slide it on in one piece together, like that. Okay, with the cage on, we can start putting our bearings in and start putting this together onto there, remembering our match marks. And with that tub of CV grease as well, we can start packing it with grease and put it back all together again. Hello everyone. So I've got this back on, and I had an absolute nightmare trying to get it back on, because what was happening, it was locking up. So when you try and put this all back together again with the bearings, it's vital that you make sure that it's got play in it like this, like it should have. Otherwise, if it locks up and it doesn't move at all, you need to take it apart and put it back together again and make sure it's got this movement in here. Looking back, this plate here actually came off. So if I was doing this again, I would recommend that you try and take this plate off here. You can prise it out around here. It does bend slightly. Just work it round and then this will come off. The circlip's right behind here, so you can just take the circlip off there, undo this ring here, and then this should come off as one unit. Much easier than the way I did it. If I was doing it again, that is what I would do. Undo that clip, take the steel plate off here, undo the circlip, take the whole off in one go. Okay, so all that's left now is to replace it back on the van. You've got your match marks here and the other end, and it's just reverse of what you've already done. Thank you everyone.